Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we discussed about the abstract classes information. So today we are going to discuss about the one of the important concept called packages. So once we completed the packages, we'll discuss about the interface concepts here. So what is the advantage we are going to get whenever we are trying to define the package here? So here, if you see, here I'm defining one package here. So com.core Java 07, the name of the package I'm defining. Okay. So what is the use of this particular package basically here? The package basically what it will do, it will try to provide the advantage here, naming as well as visibility here. So if you're trying to define the two classes here, the two classes we cannot define within the same package here. Getting the point. So this is important here. So if I'm going to write the same package information or the same class information here. So already we have an abstract class B. Now what I will do, if I'm going to write the same class inside this particular package here, you can see here I'm trying to write the same class and I'm defining it. Now you can see the type already exists here. So whatever the type we are defining here, the particular type is already existed here. Getting the point. So we cannot define the same the class name here. If I'm going to modify here, now you can see whenever I'm trying to change the package name. If you observe carefully, whenever I'm trying to change the package name here, it is happily the whatever the class we are trying to define, it is taking care. Right? So this is the naming convention we can provide. Same class name we can provide, but here the problem we are going to write the different package name here. So then only compiler will take this particular name of the class name. Otherwise, it will give you the compilation error because in the same package we cannot come up with two classes. So if you are going to define the two classes here, compiler will get an dilemma. So which class I need to call here? Okay. So it's going to get some problem here, which class I need to create an object and which class I need to call here. Getting the point. So this is important here. Okay. And another one is visibility. This is also very important here. So using the package name, we can make some security here. Using the package name, we can make some security here. So once you define the particular classes information in the same package, so you're not going to access outside of this particular packages here. Okay. So this is also applicable inside this particular package here. So this is very important. We need to understand. For example, I have a call me method I'm having. So if I'm trying to call this particular call me outside of this particular package here, outside of this particular package. So you cannot access the same information outside of this particular package here. So because it is a default access modifier. The default access modifier, it will access only within the same class. The default access modifier only accessible within the same class here. So this is important we need to understand. Okay. The naming and visibility is going to provided by packages information. So how we are creating here? The package creation is very simple here. So we are going to write the name of the package like a package keyword here. Using this particular package keyword, we are going to define this particular informations like com.core Java 07. Not only this, you can come up with any other information. So for example, if you are trying to write the another package name, something like my package name, you can modify like this. Okay, so my package. But right now, I come up with a different package name, so it is not because of that it is giving me an error. But whenever you are trying to create any class here, you can come up with a different information. But in the real-time scenarios, basically what we will do, we'll come up with this naming convention here, com dot. So whatever the project name we are going to implement here, we'll define the project name here. So because of that, I'm implementing this the naming convention here. Okay, so if you are observing this, you can easily understand in the real time also what exactly the classes and the information we are going to create here. Okay, so now observe carefully. Basically, when you are trying to create the information, we'll have a different packages here. We'll have a different packages. For example, if you are trying to define the database related information, so it will contain com dot something like a pack like our project name, and dot it will come up with the data sources, or we can come up with the repositories. Getting the point? So repositories. Getting the point? So this is the naming convention. And if you are trying to write with a controller, so same up to this particular is same. Com dot project name is same, and we'll try to define the controllers. And same way we'll try to write the services. And same way, if you are having any configuration related information, so we'll come up with a config. Getting the point? But this is the same. Com dot project name is same. Up to this, the naming convention is same, but only the end it is going to modify. If it is a controller related, it will write like this. And if it is a service related, we are going to write. And if you are trying to define any configuration related section, we'll come up with under the configuration here. Okay. So this is the way the different packages we are going to write to come up with a different purposes here. Getting the point? So this package will do the different operation. It's like it will try to call the controller classes, and it will call the service related information here. The service method it's going to execute. From the service we'll call the repository related information, and mainly we'll define the configuration. So what kind of the database we are going to connect, and what is the security we will define. So everything will define under this particular config packages. Okay. So now these are all the different packages we are going to write in a real-time applications here. Cutting the point. In the real-time application, we are going to write like this. So let's say we'll also define the same information, one, two classes here. So to define this, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to write the package first. So you can see here we are having the keyword called package. You can define the package here. Something like com dot. So now I'm trying to define. So this is our application we are developing here. It's like a Facebook application we are developing. And inside the Facebook application, I'm going to write a so controller. Okay. Now we can finish this, and now observe carefully what we are doing is, so inside this particular class, so inside this particular package, I'm going to write the name of the class called something like package controller. Okay. Now if you observe how it is defining the package, now you can see com dot facebook dot controller. Okay. And if you're trying to define the any service related information, it is going to modify the last one. It's going to append it with the service com dot facebook dot service. Okay. So this is the way we are going to write the packages information. Now you can see package is the first execute statement whenever we are trying to write any packages or if you're trying to write any classes using this particular packages. For first we need to write the package statement, and later we are going to write the naming the classes information here. Okay. So this is important here. We need to understand regarding this particular packages here. And here what I will do, I'm going to write the simple class. So let me define this as a balance class. Observe carefully. If the balance is less than 0, now what I will do? So simply I will print this message here. Okay, I'm not going to print much information. Just I will print this. Otherwise, now here what I'm doing here. So name here balance. Getting the point. So this is the way we can create the information here. And now what I'm doing.
Sir, you're muted. Sir, your voice is not audible. It's you are muted.
Okay, it's now connected. Okay, give me 2 minutes. So I'm going to connect with another network. Maybe it is today my internet is a little bit slow. Okay, so I reconnected with a different network here. Okay, now observe basically what we are doing here. We are trying to connect with our account balance here, and now and here what I'm doing here, I'm going to start with the main method. So inside this particular main method, what we will do, so I'm going to create a multiple objects here. If you observe carefully, how many objects I'm trying to create here, how many objects I want to create. So right now we discuss about the array related example. So those are all the array related example. We come up with only integer or double related. But here I'm going to create a balance is also one of the array here. If you see here, I'm trying to create a, this is the current I'm trying to make as a reference variable for this particular balance array. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to create an object like this. Here balance I'm going to create here, and later I'm going to provide 3 here. If you observe carefully, what is the type I'm trying to create here? So the type I'm trying to create as a balance here. So this is the custom array we can call here. This is very important, we need to understand here. So earlier basically what we did here, what we did instead of this particular balance, we come up with a integer related or double related arrays here. But right now what we are doing is we are trying to create this particular balance, and now I'm going to store the object into this particular current array here. Okay, how many objects we can store? We can store up to 3 objects here. And now observe carefully how I'm trying to create. So in the zero index location, I'm creating like this. This is the new object I'm creating it, and it's containing the 2 parameters. First one is string and the second one is double. Okay, so what is the string I'm going to provide? Something like Joseph. So Joseph will contain something like around 45.52. Okay, this is the first record. And now, so one more record I'm trying to create. So this is the second, basically this is the second record we are creating, but the index location is 1. So why we are storing inside the index location only 1? Because the first record is started with the 0, and the second record is going to store in the first index location. And now what I will do, here I'm going to provide Matthew, and this particular Matthew contains here the double value 96.41. Okay, so these are all the 2 records. Now what I'm doing here, one more record I'm trying to insert here, something like second index record, and here balance. So basically the line number 5 is a array type, the line number 6, 7, 8 it is a object type. So don't confuse here, because we are trying to come up with a, first we are creating array type with a balance, and later we are trying to create a multiple object, and we are trying to store into the same this particular balance here. Okay, after creating this particular balance, now what I will do, Tom Jackson. So name of the person called Tom Jackson, and it is having some amount like 85.67, some random value I'm trying to store. Okay, so this is the way we can store the values here. But what we need to understand here, first we need to understand the package, and second we need to understand the this particular type here, how we are trying to creating the array type here. Okay, so this is the way we can create. And finally what I will do, here I'm going to generate the, two string here. So if you observe two string, earlier in the last example we discussed about the object class two string here. Okay, but right now what I'm doing is I'm going to override the two string here. And now you can see how I'm trying to generating this two string method. So observe carefully. So this is the name of the class, and the name we are having, and balance we are having here. Whenever you are trying to print this particular object here, whenever you are trying to print this particular object, it will try to call this particular toString. But this is the toString method we are overriding here. So now if you observe carefully, whenever you're trying to override this particular toString method, the superclass toString method is not going to call here. The superclass toString method is not going to call. Every time this particular toString method only, it's going to execute here. Okay, let's observe how I'm calling this particular toString here. So because right now this is an array type here. So here we are having multiple objects, but how we can call this particular multiple objects here? So we are going to call with one by one. Now you can see I'm trying to use a for each style here. So this for each we already discussed here. So val I'm trying to provide, and here current I'm giving. Okay. So once I provided this particular current here, now what I will do here, I'm going to call. Here I'm going to call this particular value. Val is nothing but balance is the reference variable of this particular balance object. So observe carefully. If I'm going to run this example, if I'm going to run this example, how it is going to print here. Now you can see. So from where this particular message is coming, from where this particular messages are coming. So what we overridden here, the toString method we overridden here. So this is a message we are getting here. And now if I'm going to comment out this particular toString here. So if I'm going to comment out this particular toString method, observe carefully. So one more time, I'm running the same example. Now if you see, this is the different message we are getting. Why we are getting this particular different message? Because this is the toString is going to call from the object class. This is the toString we are going to call from the object class. But whenever I'm trying to enable here, now we identified here, so we are getting different format here. The format is different here. Whenever we want to provide the object construction, getting the point, how, like which format we want to construct the object here, how we are going to construct it with the help of this particular toString only. Okay, with help of only this particular toString. Now you can see, so whenever you are calling the this particular reference variable internally, it is going to call this particular toString method, and it will print the message like this. And finally, now what I'm doing, I'm going to call balance dot, what is the method we are having? What is the method we are having here? Something like to show. Okay, so it is not returning anything. Because of that, it's giving me an error. But right now, observe carefully. I'm trying to call the show method. So the show method internally, what is doing is, it is checking the values here. What is the values it is checking? Basically, the values, if it is less than 0, so this particular print statement is going to print. Otherwise, every time it will print this particular message. So name here, so name of the person, and the person contains, so what is the balance here. The person contains what is the balance we are trying to print here. Okay, so this is the important example we are discussing here. First one is a package, and second one is this particular how we can come up with a different type of array creation, and the third one is toString method. Okay, any questions regarding these three examples here?
Sir, I have one doubt regarding the package. So does it create a folder like com, and inside that Facebook and inside that controller there will
Yes,
be three folders?
yes, it's going to create the same folder only.
Okay. Suppose if we want, can we create one more folder in this package, right? Is it possible, sir?
Yeah, you can create. Now you can see here the folder like this. So whatever the classes we created are right now balance, and it is coming under the this particular folder only. Now you can see the path here.
Okay. So can you show me one small example to create one more package in this package, sir?
So you can create come here and come up with a package here. Something like you can provide the dot. You can provide name of the package name. It's like a sub here. So now you can see it is coming as a different package sub.
Okay.
So that is I'm explaining basically.
So today we discussed about how to create a user-defined package and how to create an array kind of object. Is it sir? Or anything did I miss because I joined 5 minutes late?
Yes, so this is only we discuss here. So basically, in the real-time scenarios, if you observe, so the com dot package is Facebook is common, and only the end of the this particular name of the package is going to be different. So right now we are trying to discuss about the controller, and if you are trying to discuss about the service-related classes here, so we'll modify with the service. So for example, here only I'm going to create here something like instead of this particular controller, I'm going to make as a service. Okay, so whenever I'm going to make as a service, so this is the different package, and the same like we'll create a different multiple package. So and here this is the database related package, and one more package we are going to create here. So it's like a configuration related. Okay, and we'll come up with a one more package, something like, so here we'll try to create the utils here. So utils package. So these are all the different packages, and if you any application, if you see, the packages are common here, but only application name is it's going to be different here. Getting point. So based on the module, application name is going to be changed here. If it is a so I'm giving the example on the Facebook, but if you're trying to work on the e-commerce related application, so it's going to be a different. Like if it is a the Amazon related com.amazon we are going to provide, and if it is a Flipkart, if it is going to change com.flipkart, or if it is any banking related application com.sbr. Getting the point. So based on the whatever the application or whatever the module we are going to develop here, so based on that the package name is different. But finally, these are all the same: config, controller, and database, service, utils, and so what are all the different we are going to have. If you are trying to create any sub package, we are going to create like this here. Getting the
Sir,
point.
one
Yeah.
more doubt here. The command package and the path it will create by itself, sir, right, sir? But why we are doing it manually in the IDE, like we are doing create package kind of thing? Because the package command itself it will create it, right?
See, ID, whatever you are creating manually, that is different from the IDA. So IDA, you are going to provide the naming of the package name manually only. While
Oh,
creating
oh,
the class, only you need to provide the package. But it is only one time you are going to provide. But every
yeah.
time, on top of the package, we are going to create the multiple classes.
Okay, sir. Yeah. But usually in projects we will be using any IDE only, right, sir?
Yes. If you
Okay.
develop
Okay.
any application without the ID, you are not going to write any code.
Okay. Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, any other question? Okay. Now we'll try to continue the access protection. So basically, so we discussed about the public and the private access protection. We already discussed in the previous section, and today we'll discuss about the protected related information, how it is going to work. Okay. So subclasses in the same package and non-classes something like we have. So let me provide some diagram here how this particular the access modifiers are going to work here. And let's see. For this purpose, I'm going to create a mesh paint. So here I'm trying to create a one diagram here, and so this particular diagram will give you the information about the how we can come up with the private modifier and the other modifiers we can use here. Okay, so here now what I'm doing is name of the class I'm going to provide something like here will make some differences. This is the private access modifier and this is for default and protected public. Okay, so here now what I'm doing here, this is private and no modifier, it's nothing but default one, protected here and public here. And so what I'm going to write here, same class, same class. So inside this particular same class, only the private related access modifier we can use. So this we already discussed here. Okay. And the same way, inside the same class, we can access the default related. And we can access the protector related as well as this particular public related also we can access here. Okay. So this is we understand. And now what I'm trying to write here, same package, same package subclass. Getting the point? Same package subclass here. So what about this particular private? We cannot access this particular private here. And what about this particular default here? We can access because we are inside the same package. And the protected also we can access here. And public. So public basically there is no restrictions from anywhere we can access here. Okay, now so here another information, same package, but here there is no relation here. There is no relation here, non-subclass. Okay, so I'm not writing the non-subclass here, but observe carefully. So this is the subclass here. Here we are having the relation, superclass with the subclass relation. But here we don't have a relation. There is no relation here, non-subclass. And here for this particular private, there is no way to access here. Okay, so if you are trying to access here, you will get an error. And what about this particular default one? The default one we can access here. And what about this particular protected? Protected also we can access here. And what about this particular public? The public also we can access here. And finally, what we need to understand here, different package subclass. Different package subclass here. So this is important here. And here we are having the same package subclass and I'm trying to define with a different package subclass. So anyway, the private access modifier we cannot access here. And what about this particular default one? Default one also we cannot access because it is a different package. And what about this particular protected here? Protected we can access here. Getting the point? Protected we can access because even though it is a different package, we are having relation here, subclasses relation. So because of that, we can access here. And finally, public one. And lastly, I'm going to write one more here, non-subclasses. Okay, so different package, non-subclass here. So this is, we cannot use this default one and sorry, private we cannot use and default also we cannot use and protected also we cannot use. And finally, public. So if you observe carefully, this is the diagram is going to give you the information about the package with the access modifiers like private access modifier and default access modifier, protected and public. So how this particular example is going to work. This is an important information we are going to understand here. Okay. So if you know this particular diagram, we can easily understand here. So which scenario we can use the protected and which scenario we can go for the default and which scenario we can go for this particular public. So everything will understand here. So using this particular diagram, now what I will do, I'm going to create a classes like this. Okay, I'm going to create a classes like this here. Okay, now observe. So we'll try to come up with a multiple example to understand this particular diagram here. Getting the point? To understand this particular diagram here. So let's have a simple example on this. Okay, so let me create here. So first, what is the package we can create here? So I'm trying to create a config here. Okay, so inside the config, I'm going to create the classes. So inside the config, I'm creating a classes like protection. Getting the point? So this is the protection class I'm creating here. Observe carefully inside this particular protection class. Now what I'm doing here, first one I'm defining as a default access modifier. Okay, and the second one I'm defining as a private access modifier. So n underscore private. The value I'm making as a 2. And so protected n underscore protected, the name of the variable I'm defining like this. And finally public. N underscore public. So these are all the four variables we define here. And finally, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to define the construction. So this is the constructor I'm trying to define here. It's a default constructor. But now what I'm doing here, so I will try to declare all the properties here. I will try to print all the properties. So base constructor, once we define this particular base constructor, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to print all the values. N value, getting the point. So this is the n value we are going to write here, and another one n underscore private, right? And same way n underscore protected, and finally n underscore public here. Okay, so this is not required here. And now what I'm doing here, I'm defining the different type of parameters here. And finally, we are trying to print the values under this particular constructor. Okay, now what I'm doing here, so one more class I'm trying to create. So inside this particular same package, observe carefully. So this is the config package we are using. So we come up with a one class called protection, and I'm going to create a one more class here. So the class here, what is the name of the class I'm trying to create here? Derived class I'm trying to create. Okay, so this particular derived class is going to extends here, extends with the protection. Getting the point? So once it is extended, now what we can do, we need to write the same default constructor here. We need to write the same default constructor here. Now if you observe, I'm trying to print all the values here. Okay, so derived constructor I'm defining, and so let me copy all the values. So whatever the values we are printing here, I'm going to copy here. Okay, so that the second one we already identified, because it is a private. Because it is a private, we cannot access the private information outside of this particular class here. Okay, that we already identified. Within the same class only, we are able to access the values. If it is outside of the class, we cannot access here. Okay, that we already identified. I'm comment out this section. Okay, other than this particular private here, we are not getting any errors here. So now you can see, so default one we can happily access here. And what about this particular protected and public? So public basically from anywhere you can access this. But what about this particular protected? Some location the protected also is going to give the error. But right now it is not giving because of we are inside the same package. So now you can say configure. So protection is also defined under this particular config. Now what happens here? If I'm going to run this example, getting the pen. So if I'm going to run this example, we'll get the same. But to observe carefully, there is no relation between there is no relation between the some other classes here. How these particular classes are going to extend here. Now, so one more class I'm creating here inside the same package. Okay, the name of the class I'm making as a same package only. So if we observe carefully, inside this particular same package, now what I will do, I'm going to create a object of this particular protection here. Where I'm trying to create here? Inside this particular constructor. Inside this particular constructor, I'm trying to create a object here. So you can see protection P is equals to new protection here. Okay. So once we define this particular protection, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to access the all the properties here. What are all the properties we are having? Okay, for example, I'm not creating this object here. Okay, if I'm going to access these values, can we access? I'm trying to paste this all the information inside this particular same package constructor. Can I paste? If I'm going to paste, it will give you the any error or it will not give you any error. So what you're trying to think here? Now you can see why we are getting an error here. The all the whatever the println statement we are defining here, all the println statements we are getting an error here. So why we are getting a error here? Because so there is no relation between this particular same package is not going to extend it to any other classes, or we are not creating an object here. So for example, I'm not making any relation here. So why I'm not making? Because it is a same package non subclass. Getting the point. So the derived class we created, this is extending from this particular protection. This is basically same package subclass here. Derived is a subclass of this particular protection. Both are available inside this particular same package here. Getting the point. This is important here. And now what I'm doing here, so I'm creating the same package and here I'm trying to create the protection object here, but there is no relation here. There is no inheritance relation. Directly we are creating an object here. Getting the point. Directly we are creating an object with the help of this particular object we are accessing here. So now if you see, so p dot n, the p dot n, it's the error is resolved because now understand the compiler from where this particular variable is calling here. And now you can see p dot public. Getting the point. Now this particular variables are coming from the way now we understand here. So this is important we need to understand. So even though if you define the object here, still we are unable to access the private variables here. Why we are unable to access? It's because of the access modifier is going to provide within the same class. Getting the point. So this is very important we need to understand. The private access modifier, it's going to access within the same class. Now, if you observe the diagram here, other than this particular private, we are able to access the all the properties. Okay. Now let's see how this particular diagram is giving information here. Okay. Now you can see what happening here. So this is the private information. So within the same class only we are able to access. But if we are trying to access subclass or non-subclass here, So it's giving me an error. And remaining whatever we defined here, all this information we are able to access here. All this information we are able to access. But only the problem is we need to understand this particular default section as well as this particular protected information here. So these two are the pending information we need to understand here. So when we are not going to get this particular default related errors, and along with that when we are going to get the protector related information. Getting the point. If you observe carefully, even though if it is the different package, but when we are having the relation here, so the protection related information is not going to give any error. But only the problem whenever inside the different package, non-subclass. So non-subclass is nothing but how we are creating an object right now with help of the same package example. Same way if you are trying to access the protector related information, so you are going to get a protector access modifier errors here. So remaining the public, you can see from any location you can access this particular public information here. Okay, so this is we need to understand here. And now we'll go to this particular one more example, how these particular examples are going to work here. And let's see. So we understand the three example. Now I'm moving into the another package here. So another package, what is another package we can take? Something like what is database I'm going to take. Okay, so we created the multiple package. Now what I'm doing here, inside this particular different package, now what I'm going to write here, I'm going to create the protection 2. So protection 2 class I'm trying to create. So once I'm creating this particular protection 2, and here I'm going to make the relation, because protection 2 is a subclass of this particular protection class here. Let me extend this. So how I'm trying to extend this particular protection? If you observe carefully, whenever I'm trying to use a protection, because if it is a different package, so you can see one import statement is going to provide here. Now you can observe the import statement here. Import statement. So this is very important, we need to understand. So why we are getting this particular import statement here? Because whatever the class we are accessing here, this particular class is available inside this particular package here. Okay, so just we are giving the information to the compiler. The protection class is available inside this particular package here, or we can call it as a inside this particular path here. Getting the point. So whenever we are trying to use whenever we are trying to access the different packages information, we are going to import those information. We are going to import those information. If you are not importing here, again compiler cannot understand from where this particular class is coming. Okay, this is important, we need to understand here. And now observe carefully. So now we understand here protection 2 is a subclass of this particular protection, but here the protection 2 is a different package here. Protection 2 is a different package. Now you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to copy the entire section here. I'm going to copy this particular entire section, and I will try to write here constructor. Inside this particular constructor, now you can see, so what is the error we are getting? Only one error we are getting. So what is the error we are getting here? That is called n. N basically it is a default access modifier. N basically it is a default access modifier. Now what you are understanding is, so the default access modifier can access within the same package, but if you see protection 2 is a different package because it is a database, and protection class we created under this particular config. Getting the point. This is important, we need to understand. Now we understand the default access modifier. It cannot access outside of this particular package. Okay, so what I will do, I'm going to create a one more class inside this particular uh, database package here, and do other package. So I'm creating a other package information, and inside this particular other package information, I will create the constructor first. And once I create the constructor, and later what I will do, here I'm going to provide the object creation protection. Now you can see, so again if it is a different package, so as I explained just now, we are going to import the package information here. Okay, so P is equals to new protection. Getting the point. So I'm defining the object information because here I'm not making the relations here. So what is the relation we are not making? The inheritance relation, whatever the inheritance relation we are having, the inheritance relation I'm not making here. Okay. Observe carefully. I am going to copy the object information how we did earlier into this particular other package. Now if you see what are all the two errors we are getting. The first one we already identified here is nothing but the default. The default access modifier can access only within the same package. Now we are inside the different package. So what about this particular protected? Protected basically here it cannot have a relation here. If it is a even though if it is a different package, we need a subclass references here. So basically here we don't have a subclass references here. Because of that, it's giving me an error here. Getting the point? Because of that, it is giving me an error. This is important here. Okay. So these are all about the all the access modifier here, which are available inside our Java language here. Okay. So any questions regarding this particular access modifier? So in the which scenario we can use this particular public and protected, default and as well as private here. So all the access modifier we discuss here.
Sir, can we have any number of imports wherever it is? There is no limits, right, sir?
See, you can import any number of, but only the problem, but how many information, as like if you're trying to use the protection, same way if you're trying to use the multiple classes in this particular other package, so automatically the imports are going to be different.
Okay. But only one package for
Yeah,
one.
naming, yes, package should be the only one and it is a first executable statement.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't have anything, so I'm going to stop the session here and we'll continue tomorrow. We are going to discuss about the interface sections here, how we can define the interface and what are all the different types of interfaces we are having, and we'll see what are the changes we have in the Java 8. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. Once we completed the interfaces, and we'll start with the exception handling here. Okay, so this is our tomorrow session, so we'll continue tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.